I am a 28-year-old young professional living in New York. I am 4 years sober. When I was in high school and when I was in college, I abused drugs and alcohol, and that led to me getting in a heap of trouble. Luckily, I was able to land in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that began a wonderful period of sobriety. So the first time I drank and used drugs, so I was with some friends. We stole some booze from the refrigerator of one of my friends, and we put it in a duffel bag. These were Corona extras. We snuck down into the woods behind my house. We were in 7th grade until I drank, 2, and my friends started to follow suit, and we ended up finishing the beers, and I definitely drank more than everyone else, trying to prove myself. And that sort of started a trend of trying to be cool, prove myself with drinking. It started that negative trend of using a substance to try and get others' approval. But peer pressure was always there. It was always there. One guy's drinking a lot, the other guy is watching, feeling like he should be keeping up. Competitive drinking games. It's always there, and then girls would be around, and you try to prove yourself to them, and always that that unhealthy cycle of trying to have this drinking, this competitive drinking, prove that you are somebody, that you are better than somebody. It's a vicious cycle. But really, I definitely had peer pressure in my story. I would pressure others, others would pressure me. A lot of the times when I was drinking and using drugs, I always took it further than the people around me, and that's something that's deep within me, that I have this disease. I believe I was born with it. And when I was younger and throwing parties and starting parties with friends, I always seemed to get a little bit more enjoyment out of it than others. That sense of obsession is really why I ended up, getting into so much trouble, and having drugs and alcohol, hurt my life so much, just because I was really obsessed with drugs and alcohol, and I was born with, that obsession, that hole that needed to be filled with something, whether it be drugs, alcohol. I was born with this bug, and thank God there's a solution for it. When I was in high school, painkillers came on in a big way. Everyone started to seem like they were gravitating from pot to painkillers, and benzodiazepines were pretty popular in that time too. I did abuse those things from time to time. I would take painkillers, after a night of drinking, and then you have a painkiller and you drink half a beer and you feel like you're floating, or you have a Xanax bar and a half a beer, and you sit on the couch and you feel like you're melting. I could see how people would get addicted to those from that first time trying it with a friend the night after drinking. Unfortunately, I've seen many of my friends get addicted to painkillers, get addicted to pills, and it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible epidemic that we have going on right now. Using a substance in a performance-enhancing manner, and competition in school and in sports, and I took Ritalin and Adderall and things like that when I was a young kid to concentrate in school, and that became just sort of a natural thing. It's just take a pill to sit still in school, take a pill to perform. My parents, that was understood that I needed that, and so I took that through the beginning of middle school, and then naturally just said, this isn't for me, I don't need this, and I just never really experimented or used those again. I remember being a kid and being on the football team and playing sports, and there'd always be stories about people in neighboring towns or in other teams taking steroids, taking something that gives them a little bit more than a protein shake, for sure. I did once in a while have a thought that that might help, that might do this, that might do help us get an edge, but never did that. I could say right now that if it was around, if it was people around me using that, I could see, being a kid, you don't have that defense. You don't have that maturity to, block yourself from that. And, when people have those things in their environment, it's very, very easy to, get mixed up with people. You have friends that are taking steroids, you have friends that are taking Adderall to perform better in school and study. If it's around you, you become open to it. Your defense is only so strong. The progression of my drinking and drugging and my disease. So, I was a kid. I first drank in the woods with friends, and it started out as, healthy, laughing, joking, and then it sort of grew. Over time, it became this, thing that I wanted to always be able to get beer on the weekends with a fake ID. And, when I would get to a party and there'd be music on and girls around and alcohol around, that hole would be filled momentarily, and I would just stuff it with whatever was around. And usually I didn't have that much fun at the party. I'd get so excited the first hour that I'd overdrink or do something dumb. And, I often would abuse alcohol throughout the party and then end up browning out or just blacking out and falling asleep and not remembering the night. I always just took it too far, and I abused that, and it took me to some real painful times and times of trouble. And when I would be abusing alcohol through high school, there'd be drugs involved as well. I started to experiment with marijuana when I was in 8th grade, became a daily smoker when I was a sophomore in high school, would smoke, sometimes before school, before practice, always wanted to have pot around because I felt like, I never wanted to run out. It was this whole obsession with just always, being able to get high and having it around. And it sort of played into the friends too. I thought it was cool to have pot and, have a bowl to smoke it out of or a bong. I felt like that was success, just having those things, having pot. Like, I didn't really think about, my school, my sports career, my future career as a person, my family life, and, all those things took a back seat to getting high or getting drunk. That obsession really, dominated my thinking. And like I said, when I would get to the weekend, I would abuse alcohol, and usually would result in me, doing something poor judgment and making, a whole other problem happen. And there was a series of problems that went on through high school and then into college. That my drinking and my drug use was a direct cause of the issues and pain that I had to endure. I was totally blind to noticing a problem with my drinking and drugs in high school. Then when I got to college, I was in college, and I did notice that I would, enjoy drinking and using drugs more than my friends would. And I would, really lust over that weekend when we'd party, that Thursday night after class when we'd go out for beers. I would really obsess over it. And I noticed that, okay, I'm a little different. I like this a little bit more than everyone else. I would get into some trouble in college, arrests, problems at school, and a couple times that happened, and I just said, oh, that was a bad night. That's nothing major. But finally, in my third year of college, I woke up in a jail cell. I woke up out of a blackout. I didn't know how I had gotten there. And that's when it really did hit me that this is a problem. This doesn't happen to everyone. I can't drink and drug safely. I keep getting into trouble. Maybe I should do something about this. And I left that jail cell and I checked into rehab. I went there with an open mind, and I was starting to accept that I couldn't drink and drug safely. I thought that the idea of getting sober was just an impossibility. Didn't ever think that I would ever do that. Never crossed my mind, actually, before I was on my way to rehab. When I landed in AA, it was sort of this feeling that this place changes lives. I spent some time there. I started to see people's lives get better, and I could see it firsthand that if you do this program, your life can really improve. Your life can get better. Sobriety will come, and a new life will come. And for me, I spent months in AA. I had some slips along the way. I'd have some moments of weakness after 6 months sober. Ultimately, those slips helped me realize that being sober, being a member of AA gives me the best chance at a good life. That's the equation that I came up with. I could have an okay life, drinking, using pot, using drugs. I might be okay. I might be able to have a job or have, a family. Might be able to, do an okay job at life. But if I really want a great life, if I really think that I want to be somebody, being a member of AA, being a sober person, gives me the best chance at a good life. Best chance. So I know that's clear cut and dry. I do that equation every day of my life. I wake up in the morning, I ask God to keep me sober. At night, I thank God for keeping me sober. And throughout the day, I remember that acceptance that this path gives me the best chance at a good life because I am a sick person. I have to deal with it every day. I have this hole that I have to fill with something. And when I fill it with AA, God, helping other people, showing up to honor my commitments, my life is incredible. But there is that voice in my head at all times telling me I could fill it with booze, pot, cocaine. That voice is there, and I have to curb that with taking the right action, having that system in place to go to the meetings, talk to the people in my support group, talk to God throughout the day, talk to myself, and remember that I'm an alcoholic and I need this. The first thing that I realized when I truly got sober 4 years ago is that you can have more fun sober than you can using drugs and alcohol. I never thought I would say that, but it really is the truth. Today, first you have to start with, when you go out with your friends now, whether it be your old friends, your new friends in A, or just you're out with a group of people for work, you're out with them and you're laughing, you're telling jokes, you're having a good time. The next day you remember what you were laughing about. That is truly remarkable. You're present, you remember everything, you're there, and you're able to really just be there, be in the moment, enjoy it, and you're not thinking about your next drug or your next drink. You're present, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's also that sense of just being in control of your actions, your emotions. It's freeing. You don't need any substance to make you feel like you're whole, feel like you're complete. You're free. It's truly liberating. It's amazing, and I believe now more than ever that this path to be sober and to live this life, it's such an amazing privilege. I'm so lucky. I never think about going back, or poor me, I don't drink or I don't take drugs. Like, it's such a privilege. It's incredible. I value my sobriety. I protect it. I love it. So I have that. But then also, I go to weddings, I go to concerts, I go to golf outings, I go to sporting events. I do all types of amazing trips and fun things that I wouldn't do if I was using drugs and drinking. I just wouldn't do them. I would be more focused on going to the bar, going to the party, or getting the drugs, going to my couch. I go out and see the world now. That stuff didn't happen before. I think about it for a young person who's just getting sober in high school. This path of sobriety, it gives you a chance to be present in your life, to plan things, to organize, to be someone that is really just an unbelievable person that helps other people. I didn't really care about helping other people before I got sober. I kind of just cared about myself. I was very self-absorbed, and that's something that sobriety has added to my life, is this love of service, of helping other people, and that's fun. It really is. Helping other people is the greatest privilege one can have. To go over, help someone, to be a part of a cause greater than self. It's truly an amazing privilege. And so, I've gotten involved with charity work. I plan events for a charity. I help them raise money. I do all types of, charitable service work that I just had no interest in before. And that's opened up a whole new avenue of, giving time, giving energy, doing it for a cause greater than yourself, doing it because you want to do it. Showing up for someone else is an amazing feeling that I've fallen in love with as I've gotten sober. And I go to bars now. I go to parties with friends, and there'll be music, and I'll be dancing. I'll be having a great time. I don't need drugs and alcohol to have fun. Just don't need it. Honestly, I had more fun at these things than I used to when I was drinking and drugging. I just felt free. I just felt like I could enjoy myself, have fun, and laugh, and I didn't need anything to make me feel good. I was just being present, being sober, being in control of my emotions, my thoughts, not needing a substance. It was a remarkable feeling. And if I could talk to myself in high school when I was so obsessed with drinking and drugs and my friends, I would go back and talk to myself and say, what do you want to be? What do you want your life to be? I would ask myself that question because I didn't ask myself when I was a kid. I was too focused on the party on the weekend, the end of the year party, the drugs that were at home, the friends that were going to be at this party or that party, this football game, this lacrosse game. I would go back and talk to myself and say, what do you want to be? What goals do you have? How are you going to get there? Is any of this going to help you get there? I think that I had a very, very narrow view when I was a kid. I didn't have a long view. I didn't have a dream, and I didn't challenge myself to think about that. If I had thought about, being somebody, being something, it would have helped me to look at my situation and say, I care about drinking and drugs way too much. I let them control my life, and I should probably have a greater purpose, a greater thing that I'm living for.